some of my influences creatively, were a lot of the groups and artists that my parents listened to. I mean, from Chuck Berry all the way through to like Aretha Franklin, Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder. That's what I listened to. I listened to a lot of those songs like growing up, and I was more inclined to be a musician. And I think being a musician, I learned to incorporate that rhythmically with my rhyme style. But a lot of my influences, some people would say unfortunately, I would say fortunately, were a lot of people whose names I can't mention right now, because it was the street. But definitely a lot of influences musically. And actually, once I got into high school, I went to Fiorella H. LaGuardia High School of Music and the Arts. Of course, I mean, anybody who knows the history of that school, that's the school that the movie and the TV series Fame was based upon. We knew about, like myself and may he live forever, my man Stephen Crossland, that was my DJ. We drew a lot. We were artists in that sense. We sculpted. We did all of that stuff creative-wise in school. So we were 2 of only 5 individuals who actually out of our district in Brooklyn who were accepted to High School of Music and Art, who applied. So long story short, we became exposed to what was known as B-boy back then. Before it was called hip hop, we were exposed to that outside of Brooklyn. Because, in Brooklyn, as far as hip hop was going, or as far as B-boy was going, or MCing, you had guys going, yes, indeed, baby doll. I said, I got the Chiba, you got the dust. Come on, baby doll, let's get fucked up. Shit like that. Real simple rhymes, yes, yes, y'all, all that stuff. So when we were uptown, because, Music and Art was, back then, it was on 135th and Convent. What happened was we became exposed to all these uptown MCs, all the groups, the Jazzy Five, our ears were introduced to the Zulu Nation, and then, my highlight was hearing the Cold Crush Brothers. And when I heard Grandmaster Caz, everything changed for me because of my musical inclination. What I heard him doing, it was like, nah, that's music. Like, he's a drum. He's locked in. Like, he was more locked in than anybody I've ever heard rhyme before. So I started getting into it, and that's what made me, that was my bar. That was the bar that was set. Like, I gotta be there, because anything less than that was corny. That was my main influence. I talk about it all the time. When I see him, we joke about it. And he tells me, he was like, man, we was uptown and we used to always talk about like, yo, it's this kid in Brooklyn that's better than everybody. And I was like, word? And I was like, checks in the mail, buddy. What makes Brooklyn special to me, I mean, besides the fact I was born and raised there, is it's just a certain spirit about Brooklyn. It's something that you almost can't describe, but, as far as I'm concerned, it's just through my travels, it became proof positive that it was not only just a special place to me, but it's a special place. It's where so many things were created, not to shamelessly plug, one of my monikers being the Originator. Brooklyn was or is, the originator of so many things, as far as, creativity, as far as, when you look at a lot of the NBA players, so many of the greats came from out of Brooklyn or frequented Brooklyn. We all are familiar with a lot of the rap artists, producers, and vocalists, period, that come out of Brooklyn. And because because there's so many people, just its largeness, it's the 4th largest city in America and supposed to only be a part of a city, being a borough, so when you have such a cluster of so many subcultures, so many different nationalities. I mean, you know, the soup comes up so specially flavored, you know, if I can put it that way. It's just a special place to me, and it's hard to really, I think it's hard for anybody to really put their finger on it. It's more of a feeling. And I think a lot of people who visit Brooklyn or visited Brooklyn in the past, which we just touched on how it is today, they realize it, you know, because they have to experience it. It's not something you can actually explain to someone.